She was shaking. Her wrists ached from the tight restraints, her knees pressed against the cold floor of the cargo pod, and the stale metallic air stung every breath. Outside the pod's grated walls, shadows passed, humanoid outlines too tall to be human, speaking in low clicks and growls that turned her stomach. The war was over. They had lost. And now, she was the spoils. When the door finally groaned open, light flooded in. Harsh, white, and sterile. She flinched. The handler, a three-armed brute covered in thick purple scales, grabbed the chain connected to her collar and yanked hard. She stumbled out, biting her lip to keep from crying out. Crying got you punished. Whimpering got you laughed at. And she had learned long ago, begging got you nowhere. The ship they led her into smelled different. Cleaner, colder. The floor vibrated slightly under her feet, the hum of power systems stronger than she was used to. The insignias on the walls weren't from her species or her captors. They were foreign, bold, sharp, strange. And then she saw him. He stood motionless at the far end of the corridor. Alone. Broad-shouldered. Covered in black armor that looked like it had seen decades of war. He wasn't like the others. His skin was light, his eyes dark and unreadable beneath the helmet that obscured half his face. A human. The stories rushed back into her mind like lightning strikes. Ruthless. Unpredictable. Monsters wrapped in flesh and metal. It was said that humans didn't conquer for territory or for resources. They did it because they could. Because when someone hurt their own, they didn't stop until entire systems burned. This was her buyer? She stiffened, heart pounding in her ears. They hadn't told her who she was being gifted to. Just that she'd be handed off to someone who deserved a reward. A soldier, they said. He took one step forward. She flinched again. The handler spoke in the broken dialect used for trades. As agreed. One pure-blooded female. Unmarked. Intelligent. Quiet. The human said nothing. He stood perfectly still. The handler pushed her forward. She's yours now. Then, without waiting, the handler turned and left, the metal door sealing shut behind him. She was alone. With him. She didn't dare look up. Instead, she lowered her head, eyes fixed on the floor. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought he might hear it through the armor. He stepped closer. One slow, heavy step. Then another. She clenched her jaw. Would he hit her first? Make an example? Maybe chain her to a wall? Her people were tools after all. To be used. Broken. Thrown away. Another step. Then, silence. The air between them was thick. But he didn't grab her. He didn't speak. The silence dragged on until it felt unbearable. She risked a glance upward. He wasn't even looking at her. He was staring at the collar. Without a word, he reached up, tapped something on his wrist, and the collar released with a faint click. It dropped to the floor with a metallic clang. She gasped. She didn't mean to, but it slipped out. He finally looked at her. There was no cruelty in his eyes. No coldness. Just exhaustion. Deep, heavy exhaustion. The kind only soldiers carried. The kind that never left. Then, in a voice low and even, he spoke. You hungry? She blinked. She didn't understand the word at first. He stepped past her, turned down the corridor, and walked away. He didn't look back. She stood frozen, confused. He hadn't told her to follow. He hadn't forced her to move. Her hands, still numb from the restraints, slowly curled at her sides. This wasn't what she had expected. Not at all. She waited a full minute before stepping forward, unsure if it was a trick. It wasn't. He led her to a small room, bare metal walls, a worn bench, and a single chair. A tray of food sat on the table. Nothing fancy. Just ration bars, a piece of bread, and a clear bottle of water. He sat across from her, silent, and nodded at the tray. She hesitated. Her stomach growled, but she was still watching for the catch. Some test. Some trap. Finally, unable to take the hunger any longer, she picked up the bread and nibbled at it carefully. No electric shocks. No harsh words. Just food. He was watching her, but not like the others had. Not like she was a thing. He leaned back slightly, arms crossed. You've got a name? He asked. Her voice cracked. Why do you care? He shrugged. Because you're not a thing. And I don't do well with silence. She stared at him. I'm not going to hurt you, he added quietly. Whatever they told you. I'm not them. Her eyes narrowed, but something about the way he said it, tired, almost bitter, made her pause. She whispered, Lyra. He nodded once. Lyra. He said it carefully like the name mattered. I'm Cole. She repeated it slowly. Cole. They sat in silence again. She picked at the rest of the food while he cleaned a part of his armor with a worn cloth. He didn't speak unless she did. Didn't touch her. Didn't even get close. But he stayed. And that was something. When she finished, he stood. There's a room down the hall. Not much, but it's private. You can rest there. You're not locked in. That last part stopped her. Why? She asked. He paused. His jaw tightened. Because I'm tired of chains, he said simply. He left without another word. She stood there long after, staring at the empty space where he had been. Was this some kind of trick? She checked the hallway. No guards. No camera she could see. Just quiet metal and that soft hum underfoot. The room he spoke of was small, but it was clean. A cot. A blanket. Even a drawer. She didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the bed for hours waiting for the catch. It never came. But sleep did. Eventually. The next morning the fear returned. She found him in a different section of the ship, what looked like a weapons bay. Racks of gear, arm-mounted launchers, smart rifles. He was working in silence again, calibrating something that whirred every few seconds. She stood at the doorway, hesitant. He looked up. You sleep? She nodded slowly. Yes. Good. Want to help? The question caught her off guard. Help? With weapons? He gave a ghost of a smile. You afraid of guns? She hesitated. I was afraid of you. His face didn't change. Then he said, Still are? I don't know. He turned back to the device. Fair enough. She stepped forward. That day passed in quiet interaction. He explained how the scanner worked. Asked her if she could read certain frequencies. When she answered correctly, he didn't praise her like a pet. He just nodded. Treated her like someone who mattered. By the end of the day, she had touched 4 different pieces of advanced tech she'd never imagined she'd see up close. And when they shared a quiet meal again that evening, she dared to ask, Why did you take me? He didn't look at her. I didn't ask for a slave, he said. I didn't want anyone. But I saved a high-ranking officer's skin during a retreat, and this was his idea of a gift. I could have refused. But I didn't want them giving you to someone worse. She swallowed hard. So I was a favor? No, he said, finally meeting her eyes. You were a rescue. That word. It echoed in her chest, louder than anything else that day. Rescue. She'd forgotten what that felt like. For the next few days they worked together. Slowly. Quietly. She didn't speak unless she had something to say. And he didn't push. But he always offered food. Always gave her space. Never once raised his voice. Never once tried to touch her. And bit by bit, she started to trust him. Just a little. It was on the 5th night that something shifted. They were in the command room. He was monitoring external scans. She had just brought him a data chip with translation logs she had deciphered for him. He looked at the screen, frowned, then froze. She leaned in slightly. What is it? He didn't answer right away. Then he zoomed in. A fleet. Dozens of ships. And not friendly. Not human. They're scanning, he murmured. They're looking for someone. Her stomach twisted. Me, she whispered. He looked at her. She nodded slowly. They don't like losing what they paid for. He stood up fast. Then we need to move. But I said we move. She followed him down the corridor, pulse racing. He was already activating shields, rerouting systems, locking external comms. You're not going back, he said. She stared at him. They'll kill you. Let them try. You don't understand who they are. No, he said, spinning around. You don't understand who I am. She took a step back. He paused. His tone softened. I'm not letting them take you. I've seen too much. I've done things I regret. But not this. Not you. A sudden burst of static cut through the air. The ship trembled. They've locked on, he said. A message flashed on the console. Surrender the asset or be destroyed. She looked at him, trembling. You don't have to do this. He looked at her one last time, and this time there was no softness. Just fire. Yes, I do. And then the first missile hit. The explosion rocked the ship. Lyra fell hard, her shoulders slamming against the corridor wall. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Warning lights blinked red and alarms screamed through every panel. Cole didn't flinch. He was already moving, pulling her to her feet, guiding her through the smoke. They're not trying to destroy the ship, he shouted over the noise. They're testing our shields. She stumbled after him, coughing. Why? To see if we'll run or beg. The control room was chaos. Screens blinked with incoming data, alerts, trajectory paths, weapon locks. He swiped his palm across a panel, activating countermeasures. Two small drones launched from the side hangars, spiraling out into the void, feeding back visual data. The fleet outside wasn't just searching anymore. They were circling. Like predators. Cole opened a second comm channel, encrypted human bandwidth. Static answered. No backup, she asked, eyes wide. I'm off-grid, he muttered. That's the point. She stared at him. Why would you be off-grid? You're a soldier. I was. He didn't elaborate. Instead, he moved to the weapon systems. The interface was clearly designed for one operator. The targeting HUD was already scanning, but the ship wasn't built to fight a fleet. You can't win this. Maybe not. Then why are you staying? He looked at her for a long second. Then he turned back to the console. Because they think you don't matter. Lyra couldn't speak. The second missile hit near the rear engines. The ship groaned, twisting slightly in its orbit. They had dropped out of FTL a few systems back. He'd been scavenging old wrecks in the debris belt, looking for something. Now she wondered if he had been running from more than just a war. She moved toward one of the backup stations, her fingers hovering over the interface. Let me help, she said. He glanced at her. You sure? I've done worse things for people who cared a lot less. Cole nodded once. She took position. The ship shuddered again. They're not firing to kill, she murmured. They want you to panic. They don't know me. What if they do? That stopped him. He studied the data feed again. The lead ship's signature wasn't military. It was cartel. Slave cartel. She recognized the ID from one of the earlier convoys her people had been caged in. That ship had overseen 3 slave blockades during the collapse of her colony. I know that ship, she whispered. Then they're here for you, he said grimly. She closed her eyes, the memory punching through her like ice. They executed the elders. Made the kids watch. Took what they wanted. Left the rest to starve. I thought they'd never come back. I didn't think I was important enough. He didn't respond, but his silence felt heavy. Like he knew exactly what it meant to be left behind. Used. Forgotten. Outside, the enemy ships shifted position. One broke from the circle. A smaller craft. Fast. Cole muttered, boarding attempt. He locked weapons and fired. The drone shot hit, sending the craft spinning out into darkness. But more were on the way. They're not just testing our shields now, he said. They're trying to come in. She watched the data feed. 2 more. Both targeting weak points. You've got maybe 5 minutes. I've had less. He moved fast, grabbing gear, slinging a rifle over his shoulder. You trained with weapons? He asked. She shook her head. I wasn't allowed. Then stay close. Where are we going? To the server room. If they want you, they'll try to access data. They want leverage. Or to make sure no one knows where you took me. He didn't answer. The corridors were dim now. Backup lighting only. The ship had sealed the outer levels, rerouting energy. Cole moved like someone who had done this 1,000 times. Checking corners, counting shots, thinking 3 steps ahead. She followed in silence, her heart hammering. Somewhere behind them, a crash echoed. They had breached the lower airlock. Cole tapped his wrist. Internal sensors lit up. 4 lifeforms. Non-human. Spreading out. They're scanning for you. She grabbed his arm. They'll kill you if they find you first. Let them try. It wasn't bravado. It was resignation. Like he'd already made peace with it. They reached the server room. Cold, narrow, filled with whirring drives and humming core processors. He handed her a panel and began shutting down access ports. If they get this, they'll know where I've been, what I've seen. Who I've helped. She looked up at him. You've done this before? He paused. Then nodded. Other survivors? She guessed. He didn't meet her eyes. They were kids, he said. Some had implants they didn't ask for. Others were marked property. I tried to help where I could. But there's only so many places to hide when the galaxy wants silence. And the humans? He looked at her. Some approved. Some turned away. Some wanted the war to end, even if it meant ignoring what we found. She swallowed. Why are you still doing it? Because someone has to. The ship rumbled again. A panel cracked. Smoke hissed from a distant vent. They're cutting through secondary bulkheads, he muttered. She turned. Then we make them regret it. You know how to fight? No. But I'm good at learning fast. He handed her a stun baton. Only use it if you have to. She nodded, gripping it tighter than she should have. The first invader entered with a thud of boots and metal. Taller than Cole, wearing spiked armor, breathing through a rebreather mask. He held a plasma blade in one hand and a scanner in the other. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. He raised the blade and Cole fired. One shot to the mask. The invader dropped. Another rushed in. Lyra backed into the wall as chaos erupted. Cole ducked under a swing, tackled the creature, slammed it against the console. Sparks exploded. The lights dimmed further. She screamed as another figure lunged at her. She stabbed with the baton. Once, twice. It screeched and collapsed. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. But she was still standing. Cole grabbed her wrist. "You okay?" She nodded, breathless. "I think so." He opened a secondary panel, yanked out a glowing data core. "If they get this, it's over. Take it." "Where?" "To the escape pod. You remember the hallway near the maintenance lift?" She hesitated. "You're not coming?" "Someone has to keep them busy." "No," she said firmly. "We do it together." He stared at her. "I'm not property anymore," she whispered. "So stop treating me like I need permission." His eyes softened. Just slightly. Then he nodded. "All right. Together." They moved fast, dodging debris and sparks. The hull groaned again as pressure sealed off sections of the ship. More enemies entered, fewer now but faster. Desperate. They reached the pod chamber just as another blast rocked the upper decks. The pod was small. One seat. Lyra's heart sank. "You planned this," she said. "No. I prepared for it." He pressed the data core into her hands. "Take it. If you get to the outpost in Sector 9, give it to Commander Reed. Tell him it's proof. Everything the galaxy forgot, it's on here. You're coming with me." "I can't. The launch system's hardwired. It only opens from the outside. By the time I override it." "No," she said. "Then I won't go either." He looked at her, frustration and something else burning behind his eyes. "Don't make me order you," he whispered. "I'm not your soldier," she replied. For a second, the noise around them seemed to vanish. Then a new signal blared through the chamber. Another ship. Bigger. Human. Cole blinked. He pulled her aside and tapped the control panel. The IFF code flashed on screen. Human Military Recon Division. "A rescue signal?" She gasped. "They found us." He shook his head. "I didn't call anyone. I couldn't. I was off-grid." "Then who?" He turned to her slowly. "You said you didn't think you were important enough." She nodded. "Well, maybe someone disagreed." The comm crackled to life. A voice. Female. Confident. Urgent. "This is Commander Reed. Stand down all hostiles. Drop your weapons or be fired upon. We are retrieving an asset under human protection." Cole stared at the screen. She looked at him. "You know her?" He smiled. For the first time, a real smile. "She was the one who told me to run." The cartel ships broke formation. Some turned to fight. Some turned to flee. The human warship opened fire, slicing clean lines through their defenses. Cole pulled Lyra close, shielding her as the room shook again, brighter explosions flashing through the window above. And just before the lights went out, he whispered, "Told you we don't leave our own behind." But in her heart she still didn't know. Was she one of them now? Or just another favor bought with guilt? The lights flickered. Cole crouched in front of the access panel, his hands moving fast, sweat dripping from his forehead. Smoke filled the air, and the ship's internal systems groaned under pressure. Lyra stood by the door, gripping the baton tightly, her knuckles white. Outside, the human warship loomed like a savior, or a storm. It had forced the cartel fleet into chaos, but the fighting hadn't stopped. Blaster fire echoed through the corridors. Someone screamed in the distance, then silence. "We don't have time," she whispered. Cole didn't look back. "They're trying to override our lockdown. If they get to the pod before the rest of our people land." He paused. "Our people," she repeated, surprised at the way those words felt in her mouth, like they almost made sense. He looked at her. "I meant what I said. You're not going back. Not to them. Not ever." A thud hit the far wall. Then another. Footsteps. Heavy ones. "Breach in 30 seconds, Cole said tightly. She stepped closer. "You said Commander Reed was the one who told you to run. Why?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he glanced at the pressure valve, fingers tightening around the rifle slung across his chest. "I saw something during my final deployment. Not just slaves. Labs. Bodies. Modified. Hybrid tech. Some of them were still alive. The kind of stuff they said didn't exist." Lyra's chest tightened. "The kind of stuff they said was conspiracy." "Yeah." He stood, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her gently but firmly down a narrow side corridor, leading to a reinforced hatch. I reported it, he continued. They told me to shut up. Disappear quietly. Let the politics take care of it. But you didn't. No. Because I saw what they did to the kids. What they did to people like you. She flinched at that, people like you, but the way he said it wasn't cold. It wasn't distance. It was guilt. The kind that sat in your bones and never left. They reached a small sealed door. It hissed open, revealing a second launch bay. Smaller. Not part of the main systems. This wasn't on the map, she said. I built it. You built a launch bay? I modified an old maintenance chute. Just in case. One-person pod. Gets around scans. For escape. For evacuation. For someone else. He handed her the data core again. I don't want it, she said. He raised an eyebrow. What? I don't want to leave you behind. You have to. They'll kill you. That's not your responsibility. No, she snapped. But it's yours, isn't it? Protecting everyone but yourself? The silence that followed was sharper than any alarm. He exhaled. You think I'm trying to be a hero, aren't you? No, he said. I'm trying to do one right thing before everything falls apart. She looked down at the core. Its glow pulsed gently, steady, alive. This thing, it's the proof? He nodded. Names, videos, coordinates, survivors, test logs, and evidence the galaxy's pretending doesn't exist. Her voice dropped. What happens if they get it? They erase it. All of it. And we go back to pretending people like you were never taken. Another thud behind them. Closer. The hallway rattled as metal boots clanged against the floor. They were coming. Cole shoved open the secondary launch pod. Get in. No, she said again. Lyra? I'm not afraid of dying anymore, she whispered. I'm afraid of going back to who I was. Of surviving only to feel small again. His voice broke just a little. You won't. You can't promise that. No. But I can make sure they never touch you again. Another noise, deeper this time. An energy drill. The main doors were almost breached. She turned toward the sound. We can't stop them all. No. But we can buy time. The tension between them swelled, unbearable now. He wanted to say more. You could see it in his eyes. But the words didn't come. Instead, he reached out and placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. You're stronger than they ever knew, he said. That's why they're afraid of you. She held his gaze. And you? I'm not afraid of you, he said. I'm afraid of losing you. That was the closest either of them would get to saying it. Before either could speak again, the main door behind them exploded inward. The blast knocked them both to the floor. Sparks flew. A sharp whine of charging plasma weapons rang through the smoke. Figures moved in, 3 maybe 4. Armed. Armored. Efficient. Cole was already up, firing. Lyra scrambled to cover, clutching the core to her chest. Cole's shots landed. One attacker dropped. Then another. But the others kept coming. They had shields. Better gear. One fired a blast that hit Cole in the side. His armor flared, but he stayed up, gritting his teeth, firing back. Lyra screamed. Cole. Get to the pod. She didn't move. Another shot. This one grazed her arm. She fell back, hissing in pain. Cole tackled the nearest invader, slamming them into the wall. The third aimed at her. And in that moment time slowed. She could see the energy build inside the weapon's barrel. Could feel the way her pulse pounded in her ears. Could taste the blood in her mouth from biting her lip too hard. And she knew, this was its star. Then something unbelievable happened. The wall behind the attackers melted. Molten metal sprayed out as a shockwave ripped through the chamber. A human boarding crew. Fully armed. Reed's team. Explosions of light and noise. Shouting. Gunfire. Commands barked over comms. Cole hit the floor next to her, arm shielding her as debris flew. She coughed, eyes wide, heart racing. He looked at her, eyes filled with something she couldn't place. Panic? Relief? Grief? We're not done, he whispered. And then, from the far side of the corridor, a shadow moved. Something taller than the others. Heavier. It wasn't like the rest of the cartel troops. It didn't carry weapons. It was the weapon. Lyra gasped. Cole's head snapped toward it. What is that? She breathed. He didn't answer. It stepped forward, silent, expressionless. A hybrid. Human, and not. Lyra's knees went weak. She remembered the rumors. The broken captives. The failed experiments. Those who came back, wrong. The soldiers around them stopped firing. Even Reed's team hesitated. Cole reached for his last weapon, something small and silver. Not a gun. A signal disruptor. Get back, he said. No, Lyra whispered. That thing, it was meant to find me. The hybrid tilted its head. His voice was wrong. Too smooth. Too precise. Target identified. Return for reprocessing. Not a chance, Cole growled. The hybrid stepped forward. It didn't seem to fear weapons. Lyra's hand shook. She held up the core. The hybrid froze. Then it spoke again. Delete that data and surrender. The others will be spared. Liar, Cole muttered. I don't want to run, Lyra whispered. You won't have to. The hybrid raised one arm. Something charged. And in that frozen second, every person in the corridor held their breath, waiting for someone to make the next move. The hybrid's arm began to glow. Its frame buzzed with energy, lines of blue running down its sides like veins of fire. Everyone had gone still. Reed's soldiers, the cartel invaders, even the ship itself seemed to hold its breath. Lyra felt her throat tighten, her body frozen as she clutched the data core to her chest. One wrong move and the thing would vaporize them. She could feel it, pure power, controlled by something that barely remembered what it meant to be alive. Then, without warning, the hybrid spoke again. Not to Cole. Not to the soldiers. To her. Subject 7A3. Memory sequence incomplete. Return for integration. She blinked. What did you just call me? The hybrid didn't respond, but its arm lowered slightly as if recalibrating. Cole looked at her. Lyra? She stared at the thing in front of her. That name. They used numbers like that at the camps. That's what they called, her voice caught. That's what they called the ones they experimented on. Cole's eyes narrowed. You don't remember? I don't know what they did to me. They kept me drugged most of the time. I thought I was just another prisoner. The hybrid stepped forward. Return. Reclaim your design. She staggered back. I'm not one of you. Incorrect. You are prototype. Phase 1. Cole aimed his weapon again, voice tight with disbelief. They made you? Lyra shook her head rapidly. No, I'm not like that. I'm not. The hybrid didn't wait. It lunged. Cole fired, but the shots bounced off an invisible field around it. Soldiers fired next, but the air rippled like water around its body, deflecting every round. It moved straight toward Lyra with terrifying precision, ignoring everyone else. Then she screamed. Not from pain, but from memory. Something triggered inside her as the hybrid closed the distance. Not a vision. Not a flashback. A sound. A high-pitched frequency buried in her skull. Her knees buckled. The data core slipped from her hand, bouncing against the metal floor. Cole dove for it, sliding on one knee, grabbing it just as the hybrid reached her. And then everything stopped. The hybrid froze mid-stride, his body twitching, glitching. Cole stared at Lyra, whose eyes were wide, jaw trembling. Something had changed. Her pupils were dilated. Her skin had a faint glow. What's happening to me? She whispered. No one moved. The hybrid took a step back. You are incomplete, it said. Then it ran. Without a sound, without another word, it turned and vanished down the corridor, breaking through the bulkhead with inhuman speed. Gone. Reed's team looked stunned. Did it retreat? One asked. Cole ignored them. He rushed to Lyra, helping her sit up. Her hands trembled violently. It triggered something in me. I felt it. Like I connected to it. Cole didn't let go of her. They built that thing. And they used you to do it. She looked up at him. They turned me into a weapon, didn't they? He didn't answer. She already knew. Reed stepped forward, visor up. We need to get her off this ship. Now. They'll follow her, Cole said. They're not done. Reed looked at the damage, the bodies, the melted walls. Then we make it public. We use the core. No, Lyra whispered. Everyone looked at her. You don't understand. If I'm connected to that thing, if I'm one of the first, then they'll use me as the key to activate the others. Cole frowned. Others? They wouldn't have built one. Not just one. They always test before scaling up. Reed swore under her breath. How many? I don't know. But if they can control them, and if I'm still linked. Cole stood slowly. Then you're not safe anywhere. I'm not worried about me, Lyra said, voice trembling. I'm worried about everyone else. The ship's sensors pinged again. A new signal. Larger than any they'd seen before. Not cartel. Not human. Something else. Reed's second-in-command stepped forward. You're going to want to see this. They pulled up the feed. A capital-class dreadnought. Black hull. No markings. Silent drive. It hovered just outside sensor range, watching. Cole's mouth tightened. That's not from our galaxy. Reed stared. Unknown origin. No transponder. No heat emissions. That thing's not just stealth, it's advanced. Lyra stepped closer, her voice hollow. I've seen that shape before. When? Reed asked. Lyra hesitated. During one of the transfer cycles. When I was moved from one facility to another. I remember waking up in a glass tube. That ship was above me. Reed swore again. We're dealing with something bigger than the cartels. Cole was silent. He didn't blink. Lyra turned to him. You knew something like this was out there, didn't you? I suspected, he said. We always thought the cartels had help. Off-world funding. Advanced gear. But this is something else. The dreadnought didn't move. It didn't fire. It didn't send a message. Just watched. They're not after the core anymore, Lyra said. They're after me. Reed looked at her. Then we get you out. No, she said quietly. We expose them first. Lyra? We send the data core out wide. Not to a military chain of command. Not to a single outpost. Everywhere. Civilian networks. Pirate broadcasts. Underground comms. We make it impossible to bury this again. Cole nodded slowly. She's right. Reed hesitated. If we do that, we're declaring open war. No cover. No deniability. Every neutral system will be dragged into this. Lyra stepped forward, looking at them all. Then we show them what happens when the Forgotten fight back. Reed turned to her comms officer. Encrypt it. Prepare full broadcast. Wait, Lyra said suddenly. Her head tilted, as if listening to something only she could hear. What is it? Cole asked. She shook her head. I don't know. I think they're trying to speak to me. Through what? She closed her eyes. Through me. The lights dimmed again. The ship's internal system flickered. A whisper echoed across the comms channel, broken, static-filled, but real. Phase 1 must return. Lyra staggered. Cole caught her again. Reed turned. Get her into medical. Now. I'm not sick, Lyra whispered. I'm connected. They're waking something up. I can feel it. Cole's voice dropped. Then we need to cut that connection. Fast. Another tremor rocked the ship. The dreadnought outside powered up. The stars behind it shifted. Reed's voice was sharp now. Brace for engagement. Cole looked at Lyra, then back at the screen. This wasn't over. It hadn't even begun. And whatever came next, humanity wasn't ready. But maybe, just maybe, she was. Because she wasn't just the proof. She was the weapon they were afraid of losing. And the one they could no longer control. The lights flared. And then the ship went dark. The ship was drowning in silence. Total black. No lights. No power hum. Just the sound of breath, sharp, uncertain, echoing through metal halls that felt suddenly too small. Cole's hand found Lyra's in the dark. She was cold, trembling. But still standing. He whispered, Lyra? No answer. Then a flicker, faint. A pale blue glow coming from her hands. The core. But it wasn't just the core anymore. It was her. Her veins shimmered with faint pulses of light, barely visible beneath her skin. Her eyes weren't just wide, they were glowing too. Not bright, but steady. A signal from something deep inside her waking up. Lyra, he said again, this time softer, more careful. I can feel them, she whispered. All of them. Who? The others. The ones like me. The prototypes. They're out there. And they're waking up too. Cole's chest tightened. Can they see you? I think I'm part of the network, she said. But, different. I'm not like them. I wasn't finished. She looked at him. That's why I survived. That's why I still feel human. Outside, the massive dreadnought inched closer. Still silent. Still not firing. As if it didn't need to. As if it already had what it came for. They're not trying to kill us, Lyra said slowly. They're trying to pull me in. They want me to choose them. That's not happening, Cole said. We've come too far for that. Her fingers tightened around his. Then a voice, clearer now, filled the ship again. Phase 1, return. Evolve. Reed's voice came through the emergency comms. We've rerouted minimal power. Weapons are offline. Shields are holding but won't last. If you've got a plan, now's the time. Lyra looked toward the viewport. The dreadnought was massive. No markings. No lights. No features at all. Like it had been carved out of the dark itself. "They're not broadcasting from that ship," she said. "They're using me. They're inside me." "Then cut them out," Cole said. She closed her eyes. "I don't know how." He took a deep breath, pulled her close. "Then let me help." There was nothing logical about it. Nothing that made sense. But in that moment, surrounded by failure, fire, darkness, something did happen. Lyra didn't push him away. She let go. And for the first time, they hesitated. The whisper changed. Resistance detected. Unstable. Lyra's body jerked. A shock ran through her and she gasped. "They're trying to override me." Cole gripped her shoulders. "You're not theirs. I don't know who I am. You're Lyra. You're the girl who survived cages, camps, silence. You're the one who stood between death and mercy and chose to live anyway. That's all I need to know." She looked at him. Not glowing now. Just human. Just scared. And then the final signal came. The dreadnought activated something. Not weapons. Not engines. A pulse. It hit the ship hard, like a wave passing through every system. The lights flickered again, but deeper than that, they could all feel it. Even Reed's voice trembled over comms. "We've got systems reporting, mind spikes. Implants reacting. What the hell is this?" Lyra staggered. "They're activating the network. They're calling the others." Cole didn't blink. "Then we answer first." She looked at him, confused. "What?" He pulled out the core, which was still glowing faintly. "If this connects to everything, then we push back." "Broadcast." He nodded. "Every file. Every scream. Every detail of what they did. Let the whole galaxy see what's coming. And make you the face of resistance, not the first weapon." She paused. Then reached for the panel. Her fingers hesitated. "What if I lose control?" she asked. He placed his hand on hers. "Then I'll remind you who you are." She activated the core. A signal launched. Not coded. Not encrypted. Just raw. Images. Logs. Voices. Footage. It spread fast. Across military channels, civilian nets, black market relays. Faster than they could trace or shut down. And it showed everything. The camps. The prototypes. The betrayals. The lies. The silence shattered. Inside Lyra something cracked. The connection with the hybrid mind twisted violently. Screams not her own tore through her head. She dropped to her knees. "They're angry," she gasped. "They can't control me anymore. I'm not part of them." Then came the twist. The signal didn't just show the network. It unlocked it. And for one blinding moment, Lyra saw everything. Hundreds of others. Just like her. Scattered across stars, trapped in hidden labs, restrained, forced into silence. And they saw her. The one who broke the chain. One by one their signals went dark. No longer hidden. No longer passive. They were waking up, but not to follow orders. To choose. Cole helped her stand. She was pale, shaking but alive. The dreadnought outside suddenly shifted course. Not closer. Away. The mind behind it, whatever it was, had lost control of its first phase. And that meant it had just lost the war. It hadn't even started yet. Reed's voice returned, stunned. "It's retreating. All systems going quiet. I think we just bought time." Lyra didn't smile. She looked out at the stars. "It's not over," she said. "They'll try again. Somewhere else. With someone else." "But now they know we're watching," Cole replied. "Now they know you're watching." She turned to him. "I'm not sure who I am." He stepped closer. "Then let's find out. Together." And just as the last traces of the signal faded into the void, a single new one came through. Encrypted. Unfamiliar. A location. No words. Just coordinates. Lyra looked at the screen. Then at Cole. "They're not all enemies," she said. "Some of them are waiting." Waiting for what? For someone to come back for them. And without another word they changed course. Into the unknown. Where the real war had only just begun. The coordinates led them into a quiet system tucked just beyond the trade routes, a place Cole had never heard of, not in his missions, not in his wandering years. The star was old, tired, its light dim but steady. A single moon orbited a dead planet, and beneath its frozen surface the signal pulsed. Reed's ship didn't follow. She had left them after the broadcast, her orders clear: disappear. Lay low. The ones that want to silence this won't stop chasing it. Or you. She'd handed Cole a tracking scrambler, a deep sigh in her chest. "I'll stall what I can." But the moment the higher-ups realize what just hit the networks, they'll choose sides. And not all of them will choose the right one. So it was just them again, Cole and Lyra, alone in the stars, flying in silence toward a place that might hold nothing or everything. As the shuttle coasted toward the moon, Cole kept glancing at her. She hadn't said much since the pulse. Since she connected and then broke free. She changed. Not physically. Not obviously. But there was something in her eyes now. A depth. A gravity. Like she was always listening to something no one else could hear. He broke the silence. You all right? She nodded, then shook her head. I don't think I'll ever be all right again. Doesn't mean you're broken. She smiled softly, the corner of her lip curling up just enough. No. Just different. But I can live with that. The shuttle landed with a low hiss. They stepped out into cold air, crunching across a flat plain of ice and dust. The signal was stronger now, almost like a heartbeat. Lyra followed it instinctively. Cole followed her. After an hour's walk, they reached a structure, half-buried, rusted, forgotten. Not large. Not beautiful. Just a shell. But the door opened when Lyra stepped close. No passcode. No scan. It knew her. Inside it wasn't a lab. It was a shelter. Lights flickered on, gentle ones. Warm. Power still ran through old cables. There were signs of life here. Blankets folded. Lights dimmed. Machines built for care, not pain. Then the sound came. A voice. Not mechanical. Not alien. Just human. I didn't think anyone would come. The woman who stepped out of the shadows was older than Lyra by maybe 10 years. Her skin bore the marks of implants now removed, scars that told quiet stories. Her eyes studied Lyra for a long time, then Cole. You're from the signal, she said. Yes, Lyra replied. You were part of it? The woman nodded. I was one of the second-gen experiments. They buried us when we started asking questions. Sent us to places like this. Quiet corners. Places where no one looks. Cole frowned. You've been hiding all this time? Surviving, she corrected. But now, others are waking up. We felt it. The shift. It started with her. Lyra's breath caught. I didn't mean to start anything. No, the woman said. You ended something. And now we have a chance to begin again. They stayed in that shelter for 3 days. Others arrived. One by one. Not many, but enough. Each carried their own weight. Some had escaped like Lyra. Some had been freed after the broadcast made it impossible to hide what had been done. One was a boy who couldn't speak but cried when he saw Lyra and hugged her like he'd known her forever. Cole watched all of it unfold. Quietly. Thoughtfully. He didn't try to lead. He didn't act like he had the answers. He just stayed close, checked the perimeter, fixed things, cooked when no one else knew how. And every night, before Lyra slept, she'd find him outside under the stars, staring up. On the 4th morning, Lyra sat beside him on the ridge. They want me to stay, she said. He nodded slowly. I figured. They think I can help lead. Help the others, build something. Can you? She looked up at the stars. I don't know. But I want to try. He smiled at that. That's all that ever matters. She turned to him. What about you? He paused. Then shrugged lightly. I think I've spent enough time running. Maybe I'll stay too. Help out. You don't have to, she said gently. You've done more than enough. He looked at her, really looked. I didn't stay to be a hero, Lyra. I stayed because you reminded me what we're fighting for. What being human means. Even if you're not entirely human anymore. I think I am, she said quietly. Just with scars in different places. He smiled at that. Then maybe we've got something in common. Later that day they buried the last of the failed core units, machines used for tracking, for control. They destroyed what was left. There was a sense of peace in it. Not celebration. Just peace. The message had already spread through the galaxy. Some systems had taken sides. Protests. Uprisings. Debates. The word Phase 1 had become a symbol of freedom in places where silence used to reign. Of course not everyone welcomed it. Some wanted things quiet again. Some feared what Lyra and the others represented. But they couldn't be erased now. Too many had seen the truth. Weeks passed. Lyra helped build a new structure beside the old shelter, a place for arrivals. Cole taught the kids how to cook real food. He was terrible at it, but they laughed anyway. That was enough. One night, as the stars blinked down like watchers in the sky, Lyra sat beside Cole again. You ever think we'll be normal? He smiled. Nope. She laughed. But I think we'll be something better, he added. Not quiet. Not forgotten. Just real. She nodded. You never asked what they did to me. What they were trying to turn me into. I didn't need to, he said. Whatever it was, it didn't work. You became you anyway. She didn't speak after that. She just leaned against his shoulder. And together they watched the stars. Not waiting for war, but watching for the ones still lost and ready to be found. If this story moved you, even just a little, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Every view, every comment, every share helps us bring more powerful human-centric sci-fi stories to life. What kind of stories do you want to hear next? Let us know in the comments. We're listening. And remember, in a galaxy full of silence, your voice matters. The end.